Welcome, dear students of class 11th. Today we are going to take up the chapter number 5 titled Youth and the Tasks Ahead, written by Karan Singh. Today we are going to do the question and answer section of the chapter. So the first question we have is, why does the author say that people who belong to the post-independent generation should not take independence for granted? Answer: according to the author, people belonging to the post-independence generation should not take independence for granted because it was won after great struggle and sacrifice. Instead, they should do all they can for the maintenance and strengthening of freedom. The second question is, the writer feels that the youth can be a great source of power to the nation. Why? Do you agree with him? Give reasons for your answer. The youth can be a great source of power to the nation because of their immense reservation of strength. I do agree with the author, as the youth are so energetic and beaming with energy that they can definitely contribute to the nation building by providing all kinds of leadership and services. Question number 3 is a quotation from the text. I quote, "A mere desire to be of service is not enough. It must be accompanied by the ability to do so effectively." Unquote. Then the question is, what are the abilities the writer feels the youth should be equipped with to be able to serve the nation? The answer is, the abilities the writer feels that the youth should be equipped with to be able to serve the nation are physical, intellectual, patriotic, and spiritual. The fourth question is, having, I quote, "muscles of iron and nerves of steel," unquote, means tick the right option. First, being physically as strong as iron. Second, being both physically fit and mentally strong. Third, being intellectually bright. The answer is the second option, being both physically fit and mentally strong. The fifth question is, beside physical endurance, the author talks about three other qualities that are essential for the defense personnel. Which are they? The answer is, the qualities apart from physical endurance which are essential for the defense personnel are the qualities of discipline and teammanship. Question number 6 is a quotation from the text. I quote, "We live in a highly competitive age of science and technology and can no longer afford the luxury of mediocrity if we are to forge ahead." Unquote. Then the question is, by this sentence the author means that first, we must have the luxury of science and technology. Second, we must be intellectually superior to make progress in science and technology. Third, we cannot afford to have the luxury of the best science and technology. The answer is the second part, that is, we must be intellectually superior to make progress in science and technology. Question number 7 is, according to the author, I quote, "those undergoing higher education constitute the privileged elite." Unquote. Why does he think so, and what does he expect them to do for the nation? Answer is, according to the author, those undergoing higher education constitute the privileged elite because in a developing country like India, which is so populous and underdeveloped, a large section of population is deprived of quality education. Leave aside higher education, they are not able to get primary education. The author thinks that this privileged class must repay the debt to society by not wasting a single moment of their academic life in futile or disruptive pursuits. Question number 8 is, the writer warns that the educated youth must keep themselves away from some futile pursuits. What are the futile pursuits he is hinting at? The answer is, the futile pursuits the writer warns the educated youth to keep away from are the indulgence in party politics and wasting of time. Question number 9, what, according to the writer, is crucial to the success of democracy? Answer, according to the author, a deeper sense of patriotism which transcends all pettiness and exclusivism and creates in our youth a deep urge for national unity and progress is crucial to the success of our democracy, because such a feeling can eradicate corruption and nepotism from our land and galvanize our whole process of economic development. Question number 10th, I quote, all is contained in that one single advice, unquote. Then the question is, which advice of Shri Aurobindo is the author referring to? The answer is, the author is referring to the advice which our great nationalist leader Shri Aurobindo Ghosh gave to the students of the Bengal National College. He requested them to do whatever constructive work they do with the single aim of service of the motherland. They should work so that she may prosper and suffer so that she may rejoice. Question number 11th is, why does the writer say that it is important to accept that all human beings are inherently divine? Answer is, the writer says that it is important to accept that all human beings are inherently divine because such a concept at once raises the dignity of the individual and cuts across all narrow barriers and distinctions. Indeed, such a principle alone can give us the courage to fight for our freedom and integrity with undying valor and wisdom to do so without hatred. Question number 12, I quote, these may not be such to hit the newspaper headlines, but it is solid and devoted activity, unquote. The first question is, what is the writer referring to in this line? And second is, what according to the writer will be the result of such an activity? The answer to the first part is, in this line the writer is referring to the avenues of national service which our youth can do. The second B part, answer to the question B is, the result of such an activity will be that if multiplied a millionfold, it will truly build the fabric of our great nation. Question number 13 is, the writer lists out a number of tasks that the youth can take up for the progress of the nation. How does he suggest these tasks can be accomplished? The list of tasks the author suggests that the youth can take up for the progress of the nation are strengthening of the civil defense measures in urban as well as rural areas, a network of nursing and first aids to be established, the welfare of our brave security forces to be strengthened, the dependence of those who made the supreme sacrifice to be helped and comforted, communal harmony to be maintained, the vast areas of poverty and ignorance to be cleared, etc. etc. He suggests that these tasks could be accomplished by mobilizing our youth and channelizing their mighty upsurge of patriotism. Question number 14 is, do you agree with the statement made by the writer that, I quote, the younger generation today faces challenges graver than any with which their forefathers were confronted, unquote. Then the question is, give reasons for your answer with the help of the points discussed by the writer. The answer is, I agree with the statement made by the writer that the younger generation today faces challenges graver than any with which their forefathers were confronted. Today, the secular and democratic principles of our nation is at stake, and to survive in this nuclear age, we should defend our principles of liberty, justice, equality, and fraternity. So this was all about the question and answer section of the chapter titled Youth and the Tasks Ahead. Thank you so much for watching.